how did we get here? Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She's your answer. Now who is she, you may ask? Or what did she even do? Elizabeth was born on November 12, 1815 in Johnstown, New York. She received her education at Johnstown Academy and at Emma Willard's in Troy, New York. Emma Willard's was also a female seminary. P.S. We go to an all-girls school. Elizabeth was the 8th of 11 children, born to Daniel Cady and Margaret Livingston Cady. She was one of the 6 children who survived infancy and early childhood. Jarrett Smith was Elizabeth Cady's first cousin. It was at his home in Peterborough, New York, that Elizabeth Cady met fellow abolitionist and future husband Henry Stanton. They agreed to be married in 1840, and over the course of their marriage, they would have 7 children. Imagine sharing a bathroom with all 7 of them. As soon as they got married, they went at once to the World's Anti-Slavery Convention in London. They left as soon as possible because Elizabeth's parents did not approve of their marriage. And so, during the first few days of the convention, male delegates debated whether women should take part. Stanton joined Ma and her wide circle of fellow Quakers and anti-slavery advocates and opened a new world of action. Come on, girls, we could do this! Stanton, along with other women, organized the first women's rights convention at Seneca Falls. There, she co-authored the Declaration of Sentiments, which was modeled on the Declaration of Independence, and introduced the demand for voting rights. 3 years later, Elizabeth met Suzanne B. Anthony, a fellow Quaker and a women's activist. In 1852, Stanton, along with Anthony and others, founded the New York Women's State Temperance Society, in which Elizabeth Cady Stanton was elected president. In 1863, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Suzanne B. Anthony created the Women's Loyal National League, gathering 400,000 signatures on a petition to bring about immediate passage of the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution to end slavery in the United States. Now that the war was over, the women's movement created its first national organization, the American Equal Rights Association, to gain universal suffrage, the federal guarantee of the vote for all citizens. Elizabeth Cady Stanton's signature headed the petition. Now with the war over, the political climate undermined their hopes. The 15th Amendment eliminated restriction of the vote due to race, color, or previous condition of servitude, but not gender. Then, in 1868, Elizabeth worked with Suzanne B. Anthony on The Revolution, a weekly paper. The following year, the two of them formed the National Woman Suffrage Association, but Stanton was its first president until the 1890s. Stanton and Anthony's National American Woman Suffrage Association worked at the national level to pursue the right of citizens to be protected by the U.S. Constitution, but Congress was unresponsive. Later that year, Lucy Stone and others founded the rival American Woodbridge Suffrage Association, AWSA, and combined the National Woman Suffrage Association founded by Stanton and Anthony, in which Elizabeth became president and these two associations put together. In the 1870s, she traveled across the United States giving speeches. In Our Girls, her most frequent speech, she urged girls to get an education that would develop them as persons and provide an income if needed. Then in 1888, Stanton and Anthony founded the International Council of Women. In 1881, Stanton and Anthony, with Melinda Jocelyn Gage, published the first volume of History of Women's Suffrage. In 1895, Stanton published the Woman's Bible Part 1. The following year, the NAWSA formally dissociated itself from Stanton's views on religion. Part 2 was published in 1898. By her 80th birthday, Stanton could barely stand. Arthritic knees could not hold her, and she rarely left an apartment in New York City. Her eyesight faded in 1899, so she became blind. She dictated articles and tried to revise her best-known speeches orally. She passed away on October 1902 at home in New York, leaving an unmailed letter to Theodore Roosevelt seeking his endorsement of women's suffrage. Elizabeth spoke in many topics, such as maternity, women's crusade against liquor, divorce and law, constitutional questions, and presidential campaigns. In 1866, she was the first woman to run for Congress in the seat of House of Representatives. Although she only received 24 votes, it's still more votes than you'll ever get if you don't do anything. It's because of her that we are treated equally, and it's because of her we are who we are today. Who are you today?